Hello, my name is Caspian Lawrence. I'm a British citizen here in the south of France with my family. We are basically homeless. It is freezing. The temperatures are going down to 3 and below because it's the 24th of October 2021. We've been in France now for, well, 3 years and 3 days. We arrived on the 21st of October 2018. We got here in an emergency situation very quickly because for the previous 11 years, since January the 8th, 2008, I was an investigative journalist in mainland China. I worked illegally as an investigative journalist undercover. My overt job was as university lecturer, teaching English, psychology, some other things. During my time there, I uncovered a lot of things. Um, I've never been a member of a media group, never worked for a newspaper or any broadcasting company. I've never held a staff card. I've never been a member of any press or media organizations or unions. This is deliberate because you can look things up on the internet, and if my name comes up as being a journalist in any way or any relation to media, then I won't get into the places that I get into. I've investigated some very dangerous environments, knife and gang crime in Glasgow, state-sanctioned organized crime in Moscow, and 11 years in China. I went to Harbin, then 7 years in Beijing, when my daughter was born, Nikita, who is now, well, almost 8. My daughter there, my second daughter, was born in Dongguan near the Hong Kong border. I was there for obvious reasons, not just the birth of my daughter. And then we went to Harbin, to Hohhot, which is the capital of Inner Mongolia, which is within China. They stole it, basically. It's not the People's Republic of Mongolia. So, and anyway, after 11 years, I got a tip off that the GuoAnBu, the Chinese security services, were looking for someone who is training illegal journalists, dissidents, and those that were discovered to be dissidents, of which 9 had been caught, 3 had been executed, and their organs harvested. Um, these tip-offs came from 3 independent sources with a high level of confidence to them. I tried getting my family to the UK. My wife is Chinese. My children are British citizens, as I am. The UK immigration policy was, at the time, still is, I think, is that she could not enter the UK without me being there for 6 months, showing 6 months of salary, indicating that I was earning a minimum of 18,600 a year. Then I have the right to apply for her to come, and then she can apply, but she has to be in Beijing for that. As the GuoAnBu were looking for us, this is not an option. The only other option is through savings, which I'll come to later. Now, because I couldn't get a UK visa for my wife, even in emergency situations, I asked confidentially and was told confidentially not even to waste my money because it would definitely be refused. I got a Schengen visa for my wife at that time. Still now, Britain is part of the European Union until the very last day of this month, or the very first day of next year, 2022. So the 1st of January, that's when I need residency permits and that sort of things. And Britain is officially not in the European Union. And quite thankfully, actually, I think that's a good option now, what I've seen. We came to France. I landed in Paris. Went to Limoges. There was no work there. Stayed for a very short while there. Came to the south of France. Not going to tell you the location, but let's just say that there's oil exploration headquarters here, and European Space Agency is down here, and an awful lot of Chinese people that I don't think are quite as innocent as people like to think they are. This is an area of very high interest to China. Aerospace and resources are China's top priorities. There's a lot of them here. Now, my wife is recognized now as a dissident. There was a warrant for our arrest. If we were to stay in China, I would have almost certainly been taken to a black prison, tortured to find out what names I'd used, people I know, people who fed me information, um, and the witch hunt would have continued. If I'd have survived the torture and interrogations, then I would have been sent to prison, where as a journalist, or not a recognized journalist officially, maybe as a spy, I would have been completely denied all medical treatment. The police have a special gang, no, I can only call it that, they're not really police. Anywhere in China, I use the term police very loosely. They would have well, almost beaten me to death, ensuring I had severe internal injuries, and then left me to die because I would have been denied all medical treatment, and that's what they do. They don't commit people to execution anymore. They just say you're not allowed any medical treatment, and then they ensure that they die from that. It's the caveat, I suppose. China is an extremely immoral country. I'll illuminate that a little later. So, we are in the south of France. It's very cold. Why haven't we not got emergency accommodation? Well, because the French government has denied us all human rights, all emergency accommodation, even for my young children. My daughter Nikita is 7, born in Beijing. My daughter Sophia is 4, born in Dongguan. And my son Christian, who was born in France, is 2 years old. Okay, my wife is Chinese. She's 37. She's now recognized as a dissident and wanted for arrest, where she would be probably go to prison and then re-education if she came out alive, or with full mental faculties, or without being mutilated, abused, raped, that sort of thing. This is what they do to dissidents in prison. Look at all the evidence about the Uyghur people and that sort of things. Gangs of rapist police officers who rape male and female. So going to back to China is an absolute impossibility, on the grounds that I love my family and I will not allow them to be persecuted. However, we came to France thinking that life would be better here. I couldn't get my wife into the UK, which I really wanted to. It's my home country. Why wouldn't I want to go there? UK is a great country. I love it. But there's certain immigration policies for whatever reasons. I understand and appreciate them, but it's like not good for me or my wife or my children. So we're stuck in France. We're homeless. We are living in a tent. This tent behind me is my tent. And sorry, that's my tent, the blue one, and that's the tent that somebody lent us for my family to sleep in, thankfully. French people are really, really kind, nice, loving, humane people who care. The French government, on the other hand, I can only call psychopathic, sociopathic and narcissistic. The system is extremely abusive and hostile. We're not wanted here. The prefecture, the local authority here for the representing the government, sent out a notification to all emergency services and social services, blocking us by name. We have absolutely nothing. I tried working as soon as I got here, but they said no, because of Brexit you're not allowed to work, and nothing I could do to persuade them. No official documents or anything like that saying that I still have the legal right to work. I still do. Can persuade them. They have absolutely refused to let me work. I got work online with a school in Burma, Myanmar, and they've just cheated my wife and I. They haven't paid us a salary at all. It's not an unusual thing actually. It was the only option we had, but it's not an unusual thing that these schools hire teachers every month. They hire them, let them teach for a month, then they don't pay them, saying that the students hate me or the students hate the teacher, or my wife teaches Chinese, I teach English. I'm a journalist, so should be reasonably good at that, right? And I did 11 years in China doing it, and with certifications too. So it's a case that we can get food from the Red Cross, which we do, and thankfully Le Restaurant du Coeur as well, who really care, and they give us food, but they can't do anything else. Okay? we're kind of stuck here. The British consulate is trying to get the French government to recognise our human rights, but the British consulate is banging its head against a brick wall. The French absolutely refuse to do anything. They will not recognise that we're even human beings in this case. So they block us from all emergency services, all social services. They won't find us, which is their obligation as a first world country, to honour human rights. You know? They won't even give us accommodation. We're freezing, and possibly freezing to death. My children also have this condition. It's a childhood malady, disappears later in childhood, where they have febrile seizures if they get a high temperature that approaches what's called hyperpyrexia, which is approaching 40 degrees. Their brain, some part of their brain can't cope with that body temperature, and they go into convulsions. Those convulsions also mean that they stop autonomously breathing. They can't breathe voluntarily either because they're in convulsions and they can't control their bodies. They're just spasming. I have to breathe for my children. I've saved their lives twice now, yeah? And it took the paramedics over an hour to come to us. Okay, I got them breathing very quickly because I'm also medically qualified. When I was in the British military, and I initially joined the Army Medical Services and got some very advanced medical training there. I later went on to do other things like teaching jungle warfare and that sort of things, but not as a medic. Not allowed to do that there. So I'm asking for help. What I want to do is get my family to the United Kingdom, my wife into the United Kingdom through savings. For the UK to accept sufficient savings, I need to show £62,500 sterling at the moment, unless that goes up, of course. And that can get my wife into the UK, but we have to keep it in there and not use it. It has to be in there for something like 6 months or something, as far as I know, at the moment. I need emergency accommodation for my wife, my 3 young children, whose lives are really at risk, and I don't mind if I sleep in a tent as long as I can get them in a safe place. I love my family very, very much, and I don't want to bury my children in this country. We escaped China and the persecution and the evil of that country and the evil of that state to come to France, where we have been treated just as vilely. I cannot believe that a Western country claiming to be so first world and about respecting human life could disrespect human life so much, even to the point of ignoring and denying us our basic human rights. I am sure that is an international offence, but there's nothing we can do. They just won't. They won't do anything. So I'm asking for £80,000 sterling, or the equivalent in dollars, so I can get my family out of the clutches of this vile government. It's not as if I haven't tried to solve this problem. I've tried to get work, denied me. Brexit is the usual thing where Britain left the EU. I've tried to go to social agencies who tell me I'm blocked. They will not lift a finger. The last one we went to said, if you push this, because I said I'm a journalist, I'm going to take this to the press. You can't do this. You can't deny people their human rights. This needs to be exposed. And if you don't help my family, I'm going to do a rapid release press campaign. And they said, if you push this, we will take your children. That is, and I'm sure you don't want that, they said. Which is quite blatantly an overt threat to my family. So I can't push this because they will do that. And I've told the locals, who are horrified, and they said, but they will do that. They are so nasty, they will do that. We've been denied everything. Yeah? They lose our documents, they lose everything. Anything to stall us, send it to the wrong people. Now I've run out of sources. I've run out of resources. I've run out of options. Now I've tried to support my family on my own. I'm an honourable man. I've worked all my life. I've served my country. My country's trying to help me, but they can't. The French government is just ignoring them. I guess they may be jealous of Brexit. I don't know, whatever. But they're disrespecting and abusing human life this way. I'm afraid for my family. I'm afraid that, like, last night was 3 degrees centigrade. It was absolutely freezing. We lost everything in China. We don't have any outdoor gear apart from that tent and a couple of sleeping mats, and 2 very lightweight duvet covers that are not designed for winter. We don't have any outdoor gear at all. I am wearing a jumper, a t-shirt. Luckily I brought thermals with me, and a pair of boots. I have no gloves. This is a very thin thing, but I give to my family first. And I don't mind if I get hypothermia, so long as I survive to provide for my family. I'll sleep outside if there's no room. Okay, but unfortunately, some really, really loving people, kind people, lent us this tent. We have to give it back. We have to leave here on Monday, Tuesday morning. We have nowhere to go. The tent goes. All we have is that little blue tent you see here. That blue tent here. This is mine. I managed to get some money together, from what I had. We came to France, by the way, with money, but the Chinese froze our accounts and emptied them as well, so we have nothing. So for 3 years we have struggled. I've tried to work. I've managed to get a little contract here, a little contract there, writing for some companies. Some didn't pay me in Asia. I don't write for them anymore, or Asian companies full stop. And some paid me, what they thought, and they're still owing money on those. So, since the world is a rather dishonourable place, all I want is my family to get back to the UK. We need emergency accommodation. That means in the cheapest hotel or B&B we can possibly find, that's warm. Because it is absolutely freezing, and we are freezing. It's getting worse and worse. The snow comes in a couple of weeks. The locals tell me this. We've been lucky it isn't here already. That's my children in the background. We try and keep them happy and away from this sort of information. I don't want stress on my family. My wife she cries at night sometimes, with this situation. She gave up her life to stay with me, because we love each other very much. We've been married for over 8 years, been together for over 12 years, and we stayed together, and we're going through thick and thin, holding each other's hand and looking after our children as best as we can. We'll die for our children, but I don't want to have to die for my children, especially in a country like France, where the government I can only describe as evil. So we need £80,000 sterling. I'm asking for your help. This will include some winter clothes for my children. Get my family into a bed and breakfast or something cheap that's warm and safe if they'll let us. Flights for my children. My daughter Nikita's, her passport's expired, so we need to get a passport too. That's going to cost about £100. And it's the same price as emergency travel documents. We must get a passport, and it will arrive quicker. And then get to the UK, where I need to put £62,500 in a savings account to show that it's there, and apply for my wife to come over. She's going to have to stay here. They won't let her in. So I need to support my wife too. As soon as I get to the UK, I need accommodation for my children and and I'll get work during office hours, because I need to get my children into school. I don't qualify as resident in the UK for 3 months, so that means my son, I have to pay for childcare for my son. I don't get any benefits for that until I've been there for 3 months, when I'm considered as resident again back in my own country. But I'll work as soon as I can. I'm a very talented man. I'm an international investigative journalist, although never recognised as one or have any licenses to prove it. I work through bylines. When I was in China too, I trained journalists. The tip-off I got was very serious and proven. 9 journalists have been captured, arrested, of which 3 had been executed through being shot in the head and their organs harvested. The last I heard was in the beginning of 2019, before my son was born, that the rest had got out of the country and vanished. I hope they vanished into safety, not into the hands of the GuoAnBu, which is the Chinese internal security, because they will have been tortured horribly and are probably dead now. I haven't had any information coming out of China for a long time. I'm very worried about them too. So, if you can help, please, I'd really appreciate it. If you can show love for my family, I'll really appreciate it. I'm not a lazy man. I work really hard, and I'm very talented. And to get work in the UK is not a problem for me. I cannot, I would not abandon my family to go and get work and then try and bring them over, because my wife would have to go to Beijing. It's an impossibility. I need an immigration and a human rights lawyer. Hopefully that can be pro bono, for free for us, given the situation. I know a few lawyers, maybe they said they could possibly arrange that. So what my immediate need now is warmth and shelter for my children and my wife and me, if possible. And then to get my children and I to the UK, and to support my wife here, excuse me, and to get her over to the UK as quickly as possible. I really, really need your help and your love and your caring. I've tried to help so many people in my life through being their voice, getting out the truth about what they're going through, about the persecution in Russia and China, suffering as victims to these evil entities. So I really, really need your help. I've put my life on the line for my fellow man, because I really care about people, and I hope that care come back to me too, for the lives of my children and my wife, and hopefully for me too. How can I close now?